of the trees regarding our gender identity and sexuality. When there's no place like home, empty air, an empty establishment. Friends with Dorothy, fighting for your civil rights. Out on the cruel streets tonight.
I'm joined today by Alan Fogarty, and Alan is one of the organisers of Clonmel Pride, which is coming up later in the week. So, Alan, welcome to 103.2 Dublin City FM, and welcome to LGBTQ+life.
Thanks for having me, Mick.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Alan, as all the people are in rural Ireland, because we're delighted to be able to share the events that are taking place now. One of the positive spin-offs of COVID is the sense that we've been able to connect with people much better than we had over the last couple of years. You guys, you'll be probably coming out of a 2-year hiatus. Is that the situation?
No, we had Pride last year as well, but COVID definitely changed how we do things and how we operate. You know, we had to work through that and figure out how to do it in a different way, and even how we organize things. We have a lot more online meetings rather than in person, so it makes it easier.
Sure. Let's talk about Alan Fogarty. Alan, what's your connection to the area? Are you a native Tip lad, or did you come there from elsewhere?
No, I'm from Tip. I'm from Ballypatrick, Kilcash, that area. It's near Clonmel in Tipperary. So yeah, that's where I'm from. Live in Dublin at the moment. So yeah, and then I got involved in Pride kind of through, I suppose, the marriage equality referendum. I was involved in that back in 2015. I was one of the coordinators for the area. And through that, then lots of people were kind of contacting me looking for support and having questions. And we kind of got into setting up support groups. And then from there, Pride kind of came about as the years went on. And this is our 3rd year now having Pride.
Yeah. Just going back to that point, Alan, was LGBTQ in Tipperary, was it essentially what we call the love that dares not speak its name before 2015? I mean, or shall we say a well-kept secret?
I wouldn't say it was too bad. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't know gay people.
Yeah.
Gay people existed, and I knew who they were. Maybe it wasn't as public as it is now. But they were definitely around. I never felt that I wasn't accepted there as such, but maybe that was through pure naivety, because I know other people really struggled living in the same area. Yeah, so I think it's a mixed bag of how people felt growing up.
I mean, for most of us who come from this part of the world, I live in Dublin, when we think of Tip, we think of hurlers, you know, they're big, fine, strapping hurlers. Oh, we also think of Gardaí, who are in Templemore as well. I suspect the reality is that Tipperary, like most places, is a much more diverse community, a much more diverse culture. Is that the case? It just doesn't get to, we just don't get to hear about it.
Yeah, I'd say definitely, and there's definitely gay guards and definitely GA players, and we all know them in the area. So yeah, there's no kind of secrets there.
Yeah, Tip, of course, was one of the 31 counties that voted yes in 2015. How did you feel when that came about? Was it even close down there, or what was I can't recall myself what the overall vote down in that part was.
It was in the late 50s across the county. Yeah, that was a massive day, because I was canvassing for weeks north and south Tip. And coming up to it, I was quite positive. We had some good reactions, and then the day of the vote was probably the worst reactions. I was in Thurles on that day in the square holding up. There was a big digital sign for a no vote that cost a lot of money, and we had signs made up about a beep for yes, and some people spat and things like that. It wasn't the best experience.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, when we're going door to door in the weeks coming up to it, we had a lot of really positive experience, and people you wouldn't expect to be so positive were very positive. So it was a mixed feeling the day of the vote. But when it came true, you know, it was amazing. I
Yeah.
remember there was lots of friends in my house, in my parents' house, and we all watched the results, and it was you know, it was a special moment.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, Alan, how did the Fogarty family respond? Were they very supportive of yourself? Was it one of those things where we'll now rally round, which is what a lot of families found?
Yeah, no, my family were very supportive. My parents, you know, they did those pictures, Vote Yes pictures that were big at the time. And, you know, they love Pride as well. They went to all the events last year. But like us all, I suppose, we're learning about the different areas of the LGBT community, and they're learning also.
You must have been quite a courageous man. What was it like growing up there, knowing you were a gay man in rural Ireland? I'm not saying that we expected any better or worse than in urban areas, but what was it like? What was your experience like, Alan?
My experience was, you know, I came out quite young. I was like 16 or 17, and I told my parents. I think I was very lucky that I was in a part-time job on the weekends where there was other gay people.
Okay.
And it kind of gave me this outlook and view that, you know, seeing they were older than me and they were getting in and out of relationships, and you kind of saw that was possible, and it wasn't just gay people or something you saw on the TV. So, you know, that was massive, and gave me a viewpoint that I mightn't have had if I didn't have that part-time job. So I think I was very lucky in that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you lose any friends along the way? This is something you often find with people, that people you thought were friends, they didn't quite turn out to be friends after all.
I think for me, I focused on being happy with myself. And once that was established, if people didn't want to be around me, that was fine. But I don't remember any standout person that stepped away. But I was quite young. I was 16, 17. So maybe it's just an accepting age for people. If I was older, it might have been very different.
Yeah, well, often you find, and certainly in the school I went to, that if you were sporty, even if you were a bit LGBT, that was okay. But if you were LGBT and you weren't sporty, that wasn't okay at all. What was it like in your part of the world, Alan?
Well, I wasn't sporty. I remember in primary school being asked by the teacher why I wasn't playing football and hurling, because he was play every lunchtime.
Yeah.
You'd have to go PE and you'd have to be on the school team. The lunchtime, I wasn't interested. And I remember the teacher I was in a small primary school. The teacher telling me, well, that's what we do here, so you have to do it. But I remember putting my foot down, and like that, I was quite stubborn. I was like, no, I'm okay.
I bet you that was popular.
Might cause a bit of controversy. You know?
Well, to show you all, the secondary school I went to, and I went to secondary school in North Inner City Dublin, the kids who didn't want to play sport, that was okay, except they were made dress up in football gear and football boots, and they were given a ball, and then they would just walk up and down the pitch. They didn't play, and even if it was raining, they were expected to go out and do that. So it shows you what we would call that retrograde macho culture that prevailed even right up to your time, and I'm quite a bit older than yourself, Alan.
Yeah, and maybe that culture is the problem. I think if I was in a school now where that macho culture isn't as well, I don't think it's as strong as it is, maybe I'd be more accepting into sport. Yeah, but who knows? Different times.
Yeah. One of my abiding memories of 2015, and I think it was, the count was on the Saturday, and I was up at Dublin Castle when it happened. On the Sunday, one Dr. Panty Bliss schlepped all the way down to Tipperary looking for Mattie McGrath, and and I thought I had mixed feelings about that. Mattie is a bit of a dinosaur, but how significant or how loud was the voice of a Mattie McGrath for that campaign? And to a certain degree, I'd ask you then, how justified was Panty going down? And I suppose on the basis of "I told you so."
His voice, I don't feel his voice stood out that much. I know he had something to say, but when we were going to doors, his voice wasn't being brought up. That wasn't what people were coming back with. Mostly people were coming back positive, with positive things. And then for Panty going to Tip, well, I think she was in Tip to see Tony Welsh, who was
Tony. Of course, Tony is one of your lads down there, isn't he?
Yeah. So I think she was down to see him. I just think she took the photo op when she was passing the door. So it was an intentional trip, but I think we enjoyed it all the same.
Yeah. I'll be honest. In my recollection is that Matty's voice was a lot louder 3 years later when we had the repeal of the Eighth Amendment, because that was much more into Matty's, if you like, playbook. If you recall that.
Mm. Yeah, but his voice, the LGBT community took note back then of what he was saying, and a lot of people were angry with what he was saying.
Yeah.
For both referendums, but people seem to forget, and you get elected again.
We like to think we're the stronger characters, that we have the moral high ground. That's as we both know, Alan, the sky didn't fall in. The earth didn't fall apart. We just went on about our business and learned how to live with each other. In essence, yeah. Tell me, what's the experience down there now? And I know you said you're working in Dublin. Has the community consolidated? Is there much more of, shall we say, is it much more on firmer footing than it might have been, say, 10 years ago?
Definitely, yeah. Like, you can see the changes throughout the years. Even since 2015, when we were going around looking for support for the marriage equality referendum, businesses were often we're supportive, but we don't want to be showing our support.
Yeah.
Even in the 7 years, they're coming to us asking how can we get involved. So you can see the changes happening, which is really exciting. Yeah. And even when we were to have our parade this year, we went around and spoke to different businesses, because how it might affect their trade or not affect their trade, and they were all very excited to have the parade as well. So things are definitely changing.
Yeah. Something I noticed just from keeping notice of your websites and your Facebook pages and things like that, you guys have social engagement in the sense that you have coffee mornings, you have various just meetups in that sense of the word. And although that may not sound radical, I'm coming across other places in rural Ireland that I think envy you in that regard, that you've got places to go, you've got interest in it. How long does that go back, Alan, and how well is it supported by the local community? And I mean both LGBT and non-LGBT.
The coffee mornings go back. Well, Pride kind of took them over about a year and a half ago, but before that they were run by LGBT Health, Tipperary, which was a different organisation. They've been going really well, with people that travel from different counties as well to them. And I think that's the thing when you're a rural Pride, it has to go all year round. It can't be like it ends the end of August and we'll see you again next August. We need to have somewhere where people can pop in. And then if you're a younger person as well, there's Chill Out South Tipperary. I think they meet every Wednesday night for, I think it's 13 to 22-year-olds or something like that. And they meet and they have different activities and they have pizza and things like that, which never would have been heard of when I was growing up. But outlets like that are there now.
So do they have a fixed venue, or how does that work? I know you seem to have the coffee mornings in the same place, but do you have a place where people could just even a drop-in centre, as we would call it?
We don't have a centre, but Chill Out have their own place where the young people can go on a Wednesday night, and they do other activities, and they made signs for Pride as one of their activities. So some of them that are comfortable will be marching in our parade as well. And then for our coffee mornings, we have it in a local coffee shop that have been very supportive of us the last couple of years. We kind of tell them we're coming in advance. We do the last Saturday of every month, and sometimes they put out like the Pride flags, and then when it comes up to Pride, they make us Pride cakes and things like that. So, they're very excited to get involved.
It's called visibility, really, isn't it, in that sense of the word? And that's so supportive. What's the relationship like, if you like, with the local authorities? Because I'm seeing in certain places, particularly Mayo, and there's one I think in Carlow as well. And they've not only got good support from the local authority, the county councils, but they've also been given access to a premises that they have exclusive, shall we say, access to. How far down that track would your group be, Alan?
Well, I suppose when you're dealing with local councils, they're trying to manage a lot of different stakeholders. So we always have to put our argument forward of why our festival is needed, and how it's getting bigger every year. So when we see how many people came last year, it really helps us put that argument forward when we're looking for different things from them. There's lots of different festivals in Clonmel looking for time and effort from them. So, we have to put our best foot forward. And of course, they need to take care of the local businesses as well. I think we're really lucky in Clonmel as well, where we have support from local businesses like Boston Scientific have been really good to us. They're sponsoring our Pride breakfast, and they've sponsored us for other events as well. We did some walking events, and they sponsored those also. So local businesses have been really good to us in that sense.
I was going to ask you, but you've almost taken the words out of my mouth. Boston Scientific, they're getting quite a bit of prominence on your poster, so I think they must be doing something good for you. What's their what business are they in, and how can we give them a shout out for being very positive and supportive?
Well, they're a medical device company. So I don't think we can actually go shopping as such for their products.
Are they based in Clonmel?
Yeah, they're based in Clonmel. They have a big factory in Clonmel, and they've been really good in the sense that their initial approach to us was to kind of equality within their company. So Chair Sweetman, our chairman, up to do some training with the different groups up there. They call us for support. They put up a Pride pedestrian walk in their car park. They called us up to make videos this year as well for one of their all hands events. And then in return, they fund some of our events as well. So we're working. It's a partnership, I suppose you can nearly call it. But it's great to see a company putting themselves out there and making sure that equality is happening within the business.
Sure. Do they take part in the parade? Do their employees take part, and are they visible in the parade? Now, I'll explain to you why I'm asking that question, Alan.
Well, I hope so. This is our first parade this year. We haven't had a parade.
You've never had a parade before.
They're invited, and I think as far as I know, they're coming. So on the 27th.
Yeah, no, the reason why I ask is because Dublin Pride, of which I've got a lot of involvement with, there's two schools, I won't say camps, but there's two schools of thought that says, one says, oh, we shouldn't be taking any money from these people at all, and they shouldn't be visible. I'm in the camp that says, look, if they're prepared to sponsor us, we can have the resources, and then we can use that resource to build the community. Are you getting any negativity, or is it just too early days yet in regard to multinational corporations?
I think it's too early for any negativity, but I suppose from our point of view is, first of all, we do need funding, and when you start organising a Pride events, you realise the cost of the different things that are needed. It all builds up. But the second aspect for us is that we can see them doing work within their business to promote equality and take care of their employees. So it makes us more comfortable taking money from them because we know it's not just a front.
Yeah, well, that inevitably filters back to the environment that they're operating in which case this is Tipperary. Something I got to ask you, Alan, because about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had as a guest on this program Evelyn Roberts, and Evelyn was with Tipperary Pride as well, except that was Thurles. What's the story about how? Look, we have no problem. You can have as many prides as you like, but what's the story about the two prides in Tipperary? Because I think you're the only county that I know that actually has two, and it's not because you're greedy.
I think it's because of the size. Like Tipperary is quite a big county. I'd nearly say do it more. To get it's 45 minutes from Clonmel to Thurles, and then if you go up further, you have Roscrea and Nina as well. So it's quite a big county. So the visibility is needed in both ends of the county.
Yeah, they don't. Although Cork is even bigger, and I'm sure they could justify a West Cork Pride and perhaps even an East Cork Pride. But look, you won't get any argument with me. Is if it brings visibility to the community and consolidates the community, you get my support 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to college up in Thurles, so I'm delighted. There's a Pride event going on there because Back when I was in college, there was no kind of LGBT events going on there at all. So it's great to see that that's happening in Thurles as well.
Yeah, well, we also we'll cross the fingers and hope that it's nice and dry on the day and you get a bit of sunshine, because I went to Wexford Pride a few weeks ago, and sunny day, everybody had a fabulous time. So what more could you want? Let's talk about this year's events, Alan. It's spread over 3 days, and it starts on Friday the 26th. So perhaps just talk us through what are the great events that are happening on that day.
Yeah, so it's over 3 days. 3 days. Originally, it was supposed to be over 1 day, but when you're a rural pride, you have to start catering for everybody, and it turns into a 3-day event. So yeah, we're having a little opening on the Friday at 3:30 under the arches in the main guard, just to open Pride. And then at 6 o'clock, there's an art installation that is opening called Notions by Marcus Gamble, and that'll run the whole weekend. And he kind of looks at embracing people's differences through his artwork. So that should be really interesting to see.
Is Marcus a local artist, or is he somebody who has adopted Tip as his home patch?
He's from Dublin, and he works very closely with one of our committee members who's from Tipperary. She works with different artists around the country, and his work just stood out to her because it kind of promotes differences. Yeah.
This year, as I appreciate you're having the first parade, but are you having a grand marshal for Pride, or what's the situation, Alan?
We were looking at that, and then we thought because it's the first year, we'd let the community itself be the grand marshal.
That's fair enough, isn't it? Yeah.
So just have everyone involved, because just for the first year, and then we might look at grand marshals going forward. But for the first year, yeah, everybody's the grand marshal, just to kick us off.
And I notice on the Friday evening, you've also got Pride Couture. Tell us about that, because Pride and, well, LGBT and fashion, they do go hand in hand, do they not?
So this event is kind of for people age 16 plus. It's a mix between junk couture, if people are familiar with that. It's something that people do in school where they make outfits in exhibition year, and drag race. So people will be working on teams to build. A song will be played, and being inspired from that song, they'll be given materials and they'll try and build an outfit, and it'll be a competition, and that'll be hosted by Tina DePardon on the night.
Yeah. And is that just turn up on the night and participate, or do you have to apply in advance?
If you book in advance, the link will be on our Facebook and our Instagram page, Clonmel Pride. And the tickets are on Eventbrite for that one. It's a free event, but just book in advance, so we have the different teams.
Yeah. And where is that taking place, Alan?
That's taking place in East Lane. So it's a laneway in Clonmel that was a mess with puddles that no one would walk down, that they've over the last couple of months they've transformed with street art and put in benches, and it looks amazing. So I think it's possibly one of the first events that's on there. So that's really exciting.
Sure. Now, your big day, of course, is the Saturday, because that's when you have the march. So talk us through how the Saturday is going to unfold and what people can look forward to.
Yeah, so Saturday the 27th, then the morning will start with breakfast, so 10 to 11:30. Pop into Richmond Mill. There'll be croissants and yogurts and that kind of breakfast. There'll be no full Irish, but it'll give you a chance. It'll give you a chance to meet different people and have a chat, and people you'll see for the rest of the weekend. So yeah, it's just a time to mingle and grab a light breakfast. And then from 1 o'clock is the parade then is at 12:30. So after the breakfast, if you make your way up to the start of the parade by the West Gate, we have a giant flag, and it'll be a walking parade through the town. And we're really encouraging people to come to that and support that, because it's our first parade, so we'd like to get the
How long is the parade route, Alan? I suspect it's not enormous like the one in Dublin, but how long is it?
About 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, we didn't go further up the top of Irish Town, but we said we take it easy.
Yeah, and then do you have any music, any bands, or any floats even?
No, it'll be a walking parade this year. There will be music as we do the walk, and we have a giant flag as well. But then at the end of the parade is when the family fun day will happen, and there'll be a stage there with lots of different drag queens and rock choirs and performers, and that'll go from 1 o'clock to 3:30. and there'll be a chance to buy different merchandise in relation to Tipperary Pride and have food and drinks and coffees and all that kind of thing. And that's something that we did last year, which was a really big success, and everyone really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, we would always encourage people to dress up because, I mean, LGBT people, we don't hide our light under a bushel now, do we? So my view is that the more colourful you can make it, the more fun you'll probably have.
Exactly. Yeah, put on those colours and get out there. Hopefully it's a sunny day and shine that light.
Yeah, and if it is, bring out a bit of sunblock just to be on the safe side. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got it looks like to be a fabulous evening to be taking place on the Saturday the 27th. Tell us about that, Alan. Tell us who's going to be performing for you.
So on the 27th, then on the Saturday night, there's a drag show and a DJ afterwards in O'Keefe. So you have Tina DePardon, Dylan Jordan, and Kenny Todgers. They'll all be performing on the night. So it should be a really good night. Tina DePardon was with us last year, and it was just before she was going to move to Canada. So since then, travel all over the US and Canada performing. And so it should be really exciting to see what new performances she came up with in the past year.
Indeed. And of course, Kenny Todgers is one of my Facebook friends. So, I mean, it's a small world, isn't it? Yeah. Now, moving on, Alan, the Sunday, now we'll assume that everybody is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and they haven't overindulged on the Saturday. You're starting off with a meditation, which I think is a really cool way of doing things. Tell us about that and how people can participate.
Yeah, so that's in Dennisburg Park, and it's on at 11:30 on the Sunday morning, the 28th. Just show up on the morning, and it'll be meditation with Jenny Hannigan. If you're out the night before, you can turn it into a nap. I don't know. And it'll run for an hour, 11:30 to 12:30. So that should be really nice. And then that's followed directly afterward by our picnic in the park. And that's an event we did last year, and it was a very simple event we did. We just asked everyone to bring along, pop into a shop and grab a sandwich or something like that. And we sit down in the park and we'll all have a chat and dissect the weekend and eat your sandwich and relax. And we brought, we'll bring some snacks as well along with it. Yeah. It's just a bit of chill time in the park, and that runs from 1 to 3 on the Sunday, the 28th. Yeah.
I have to ask you, because some people, they like to turn up at a picnic with, say, a bottle of Chablis. Is it a booze-free event, or might you be able to BYO, as we say?
Officially, it's a booze-free event. Yeah.
But you won't be getting the, shall we say, the morality police go around. I mean, we'll leave that up to how others play it. And then finally, you've got you've got Closing Pride on the Sunday night. Finish us off then for that, Alan.
Yeah, so Closing Pride is in Gleason's Pub in Clonmel. Purdy Whites are the band that are playing. They're a brass band. I don't know, a lot of people might be familiar with them. They're very popular around Tipperary and the southeast. So that should be a great night, and then that's followed by a DJ as well, Nigel Byrne. That's on at 7:00, but advise to get there earlier because they do play there from time to time, and it does fill up really fast. So advice is to be in there early on the night.
Yeah. Last but by no means least, Alan, for people who might be coming from my neck of the woods to your neck of the woods, how well is Tipperary off for accommodation? If people turned up, might they be okay to get a hotel or a B&B or something like that?
Well, the weekend in question is very busy. A lot of the hotels are booked up already.
In advance, is that what your advice would be?
Exactly, and have a look on Airbnb as well. There seems to be some accommodation there also.
Okay.
And then,
Alan Fogarty, it's been a delight talking to you. Hopefully we can I'm at a wedding myself this weekend, but hopefully we can get down to Clonmel for fabulous Clonmel Pride in 2023. But in the meantime, have a fabulous weekend and happy Pride.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having us on. It's been
You're
great.
very welcome.
Couldn't see the haunted forest for the trees regarding our gender identity and sexuality. When there's no place like home, empty air and empty establishment. Friends with Dorothy, fighting for your civil rights. Out on the cruel streets tonight.